You guys ready?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to Let's Talk Landmark Wednesday night edition. I need to put that up there. Let's Talk Landmark night edition or something. I don't know. We'll come up with something good. We have, of course, to this side, and I'm pointing at Geo. Yeah, like this. We have Geo, and just below us, down here, we have Murin, also known as Murin at Play. You've probably seen her speak in the chat here as we've been waiting for Twitch to come back live so we could actually do the show. We are been kind of discussing offline, like what are we going to cover today, and all that kind of good stuff. And I think what we have narrowed it down to is we're going to kind of go over some of the stuff that we've seen throughout the keynote competition after the submissions. Possibly talking about the future, what we're going to see, and what we would like to see. And would like for your input on what you would like to see inside of Landmark when it actually goes into open. So I guess we'll start off with you, Geo. What would you... Okay, backtracking. Sorry, I'm totally screwed up because Twitch screwed me up today. But we got about 30 minutes, so it will be a little bit shorter show. It's okay. I love you guys to death, and thank you all for being patient and waiting for it to come back up. But
I got 45 minutes, so
45 minutes. We're good. How about you,
I
Miriam?
have all night.
She has all night. So, the Geo, Monday you went through and started your after the competition screening and viewing all the different builds and keynotes. So far, what have you seen? Pretty much in its existence. Is a lot of this stuff cohesive between one building and another or not? And do you think it would be viable as a beginning point for what they're trying to build over in EverQuest next?
well, seems this is just anecdotal, but it seems like there is a lot of content this time. We saw a lot with the ogres. We saw a lot with the dark elves. And on the morning brew, we do that. As soon as the competition closes and they go into voting mode, we go tour claims and go hit them. I vote everybody. I vote up on everybody that we stop by to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, for me, it's the play thing to do. We like to encourage folks.
That's not how I do it.
I know that's not how you roll, man.
That's not how I roll.
You're such a mean bastard.
I don't vote on everything, and the reason being is because
Han Solo shot first.
I look at as viability for play for something that I would like to see in EverQuest next. That's how I vote.
And I'm the one guy in the community who needs to vote on every claim, so that everybody's got their one vote, and we've been by to see everybody. But what we saw. Well, I was here Monday and today. Pantera, you rocked it yesterday. Still got to go watch the thing, but man, you guys jammed. You went on for hours, so it was awesome.
We got in like an extra half an hour or something like that at the very end.
We were like
an
hour and a half extra.
Yeah, so we were like, Pantera, can you hang out a little bit more? And he was like, okay. So it worked out great.
We're seeing a handful of builds that are really top shelf. And I say a handful, but they are amazing, and we can't stop looking at them. So while we're trying to do 5 minutes of build, man, this morning in the first hour, I think we hit 4. So Corain's got to rub me in and get me on track.
I tell you, the girls keep us straight. Y'all have no clue at how much them girls keep us straight.
Thank you.
They will smack us down if we're not doing the right thing, and we love them for it.
We saw a bulk. The large majority of claims, though, looked great. They look great. They look ready, completed. Lots of good details in there. Mm-hmm. Enough, I think, for them to get a foundation over there at Daybreak. Now, one thing I've noticed is we've seen a lot of builds that look like they may have been done by people that were fairly new to Landmark.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
So they're just learning how to get their head into the style guide and learning how to build the things that they see in the style guide, but they clearly missed the mark. And absolutely, I can tell you right now, they will not make it into the final cut. But
it's a starting point. It's a starting point, and
it's cool to see people trying.
Yes,
exactly.
Exactly.
What do we say on our show all the time? Go build something. We'll come take a look at it. Man, people are doing it. So this gives me fills my heart with hope and glee and joy. It's cool to see people that are obviously relatively new to the game going out, not only just building, but man, they're submitting it. They're putting it in there.
I mean, one of the builds, and I told Pantera, yeah, we're going to have to skip this one. I don't know if you got to see that or not, but there was nothing in that build that was even close to the style guide or even looked like it was even attempting to conform to the style guide that was laid out. And that's why that one build got skipped.
I heard you guys got to a mountaintop and there was nothing
that was a developer account.
Oh.
It was they've had problems with the imagery not showing.
Okay.
And so some of the devs have actually submitted to the competition to figure out what the cause of it was. So, and I guess they just never removed them from the competition or something.
Yeah,
but
something like that.
Yeah. So, but that's what it looked like to me. And there was 2 or 3 of them. And I know Domino submitted, and she had problems with it too. So it wasn't just the players. The devs were having that problem as well.
We keep having trouble. It seems every competition there are submission issues every single time. And this is no different. The issues seem to be different every time, but at least I saw on Twitter some really good comments from the dev team, and that they made it clear that if your image didn't show up on your submission, they are still going to take a look at it. They're going to make sure they get to it. So, which makes me wonder how much are they referring to the number of votes on the claim to prioritize what they're going to look at first. That I don't know, because they're already out.
It could be like a 50% mark. Possibility. And they take the 50% mark, and that's the ones they check out first, and then they go through the rest of them later. But us as players, I see it as we have a responsibility to go in and be like, okay, this fits the style guide. This does not fit the style guide. This has some of the aspects of the style guide, but it may not be exact. And with that, that's where the voting process comes along. And I usually go for the more high-end stuff where, it's got the 20 voxel base on it. That's important to me, because it makes it easy for the developers to be able to set it up in the world. If it's just sitting on a flat piece of, 1 voxel thick land, and we saw a crap ton of that. And that is not what they asked for, And if it's in the style guide and that's something that they said that they wanted, that's what they should have got. And I've seen, even some of the immaculate builds not even have it. So, but
well, here's the thing: if you got your build submitted, if you got it submitted, and it's clearly not just a plot of land with nothing on it, we're going to go see it on our show. And we might only if it's really an incomplete submission, we might only spend 2 minutes on it, but we'll go see it. So I like the fact that people are making an effort to at least try and get something submitted. I think it's a good sign. I think it's a great sign, actually.
Yeah. Murin, what have you seen
that I like?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been out to see much because I've been out of town this week. But from what I've seen in people's streams, there's a lot of stuff out there that I like. I like the people who can take the style guide and not build just exactly to what the style guide says, but they can change it up a bit and it fits the style guide, but it's different. I remember at the beginning when we were first seeing the style guide and they were saying, nope, that doesn't fit the style guide. No, that doesn't fit the style guide. We were all going, well, if we have to fit it exactly, then it's all going to look the same. And it doesn't all look the same, even though there's a lot of people who are following the style guide.
Yeah.
I
like diversity. I love diversity when it comes to a city because it helps me point out landmarks. And there are people that, instead of using a map, they can use landmarks to get around in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, go around the corner there and take a left at the blue building or something, you know, and I've said that, you know, on the stream before. And I work like that probably more than I use my map. I'll use like the compass and I'll just look for a landmark of some sort, and that's the way I navigate around the world. If everything in the city looked exactly the same, all the buildings were the same, they were the same color, there's no difference in between the two, and you tried to tell somebody where something was, it makes it difficult. You know, and you end up having to give them a grid location of some sort, and y'all know how freaking annoying that is.
And building a city, this is the first time that we've seen it as them actively building a city for EverQuest Next. And it makes me ask the question, what exactly is the whole process from this point to EverQuest Next for getting the city done? So I'd love to have Terry and Dexella and Domino and Rosie get on one of the shows and talk about what the entire process is. And it's likely they may not know because they haven't gotten to parts of it, but what are their plans at least? So what we're doing here is setting the foundation for the guide of what is going to go into EverQuest Next. Which means that even though you might make it in the competition, it doesn't guarantee that your build will make it into the game, is my understanding. Mm-hmm. So, and that's important. But so, man, let us know what your vision is, what your plan is.
Okay.
Between this stage and the game.
I have a reply for you on that one, because my contact within the company has finally replied to me. Thank you, Dexella. I appreciate it. I finally did get an email. I had to, when you were saying that, it reminded me, and I had to check my phone. And yes, I do use a BlackBerry. So, this is the reply. This is the reply because I was asking to see if we could get someone to come up here and ask some of the questions. You better not be batting your daughter again, because we want to see more of her on the show. This is the reply that I got from Dexella. Sorry for the delay on the response. I don't have an update yet as to if/when they might be able, but it is on my list. We likely won't be able to do many interviews until after the wipe occurs.
Sure.
At the end of the month.
Time is a premium for them right now.
But she says she would follow back up with PR and let me know something. So that's pretty much where it stands out on that. So as for when and if we can get somebody here on the show, we're going to cross our fingers. But I love you, Dexella. Not as much as I love Emily, but I still love you.
I knew that was coming.
So, but yeah,
awesome.
And Emily should be back this coming week. At some point.
You know, we covered Landmark more than anybody on Twitch. I mean, you see it between Tim and myself, and then there's a handful of streamers that are consistent. Murren, Zia, Knobwinkle's been streaming. God, I love his stream.
He is hysterical. He's just a funny person, and I enjoy being around people that are like that, that have that positive outlook on life in general, because I have a tendency of going negative, and I like being around positive people to get me to stay positive. And that's why I like surrounding myself with positive people.
Pump you up.
Yes. And that's why I like Gio. That's why I like Murren. And, you know, all you people here in the chat right now, because you guys keep me from going negative. And my PTSD has a tendency of dragging me in that direction. And that's why I love you guys. Plain and simple. That's why.
Well, look, we're consistent. That's the biggest. You ask Co Carnage what the number one thing is. Be consistent. Have a schedule. Keep it. Be consistent. We're there. We're on our channel. We're there 5 days a week, and I love this. Man, so Tim and I put our heads together. We been wanting to do a talk show for a long time, and we came up with Let's Talk Landmark, and man, we've been rocking it. So
and the ones that were out there were negative, so negative, and it's either that or inconsistent.
Yeah,
and we wanted something that would be consistent. We also wanted to have it set up to where we had a show for people who are in Europe. We wanted a show that would be there for those of us in the United States. So that's why we have 2 shows a week. We have the one after the Morning Brew on Monday, and then we have this show that is on Wednesday at 7:30ish. And that's the reason why we set it up this way, is that we can not only cover things we went over on Monday, we can also cover it on the next Monday after this one.
Because oftentimes there's a show from Daybreak that happens between our shows, so it gives us a chance that there's new stuff to cover usually. But be clear that while we don't go negative, we want.
I get negative sometimes. I can't help it.
One has to be critical because you can be critical without being negative. It's constructive criticism.
Yeah, and being critical is how people learn. I've got to say, if I wasn't streaming and getting some critical feedback from people who were watching my stream, my build wouldn't have turned out as good as it is. And I'm not saying that it's great. I doubt it'll be selected, but it wouldn't be what it is without some criticism.
Mm-hmm. And y'all can criticize me all you want.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
I'm used to it. It's all good. I've had people that hated my guts, just because I was being me. So, but it's all good, Brush it off. Keep going. Okay. I think we kind of got off the topic there, I think.
Yeah,
something like that. I'm looking in the wrong direction. We kind of got off the little topic there. It's all good.
Yeah, guys.
Be like, here, have some. So,
thanks, man.
But as for the consistency in between the different builds and stuff, from what I've seen, for the most part, I've seen a lot of the same visualization on the exteriors be very consistent between a lot of the builds. Some are a little bit more, hardcore, and they get crunk with it on the exteriors. And then I see others that are they have that same styling, and they're not as high end, but they still fit if you put one next to the other one because of that shaping.
Exactly.
Because it has that shaping, and so those, even if you have one that looks a little bit more high end, I guess you call it, versus one that may not be quite as low end. Even though they're different, they still work. And that is the one cool thing about the competition. Now, if someone went out of their way and did an I can't say the word.
Extraordinarily.
Yes, that's the word. If somebody does, goes extraordinarily out of their way to add that extra detail into something, that's something that, to me, I want to see in EverQuest Next. And that's normally the reason why I give the votes to those people. Because I want Next to be just, I just want it to just blow my mind when I see it. And then, the ones that don't quite go that extra limit for their level. And I can tell it. I can tell it what a person's level is by looking at the build they do. And I can tell you if they went the extra mile for it. And I guess it's probably because I've seen so many builds and, just been around a lot of people. But I can tell what level they are and if they went the extra mile for their level.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen a lot of people who are entering the contest for the first time They've been in Landmark for quite a while. They've got building skills. They've been watching the tutorials, been watching the shows. They've been working hard. But we're seeing them enter these contests for the first time, and you can tell they really went the extra mile to add details. And here's the big discussion from our show today: is a lot of people are taking the constructive criticism feedback that's coming from the folks over at Daybreak and from us on the various shows, and then they are implementing it at speeds we've never seen before.
We went over stuff today on the channel, and I don't even remember what the heck it was. We found bugs on the show today, dude. We did. Okay. We were probably all cut. We found like 2 different bugs like back to back, and if you like the little search bar for your materials, or not materials, but the props, type in old growth, and then type HHH at the very end of your old growth. And then you backspace, the 3 extra H's you put in there. Right above that, where it says searching for, doesn't change.
Yep.
You have extra H's still sitting up there, even though you took them out of the search bar.
And if you move your cursor to the beginning of the search bar and type, it adds the letters to the end in the searching for.
Yes! And it was like, oh my god, we found a bug. That's cool. It's hysterical. And somebody said, well, it happens on yours, but it don't happen on mine. I'm like, yeah, close it out, open it again, try it again. And it happened. It worked for him. So
there's a bunch of builders, a whole bunch that entered the contest we've seen them take feedback from Rosie and her team and from us on the various shows and implement those changes, some of the complete redesign changes overnight. And a couple, there's so many, I can't remember them all, but 2 off the top of my head are Aliana and his Lucios Tavern, which in game we call it the Fallen Angel, and the sword shrine that he's got. Wow,
there are a lot of sword shrines.
Yeah, I've been stunned by how quickly those changes make. And then Calorie with his docks went through lots of iterations. You know, people giving him feedback. He's taking it all, making changes. I mean, sweeping changes quickly, like overnight or even faster. And then we saw it today on the show. It was stunning.
The other day, prior to the submission, I went over there and I told him, I was like, you need to have a 2-way, you need to have a 3-way, and you need to have a 4-way connection point. And so he got into it and started making those, and he was like, I don't have enough room. I was like, okay, well, quarter it. Have a quarter, and all you got to do is like, okay, I can take this and I can make, you know, a 2-sided, 3-sided, or a 4-sided with the quartered pieces. So he was able to eliminate a lot of space using that. And then I also told him, you know, instead of having individual sections that were already pre-made, just copy, you know, like the little ramping system, and you could set that off to the side, and if they wanted to use it, they could pop it in. And there's another piece of a modular. And then you have not only the base system part of it, but you would also have an individual pieces that they could just pop in and out as they wanted to. And he implemented that.
It's awesome.
He implemented that, and the system that he has created just from that little bit of feedback, phenomenal. What he has done with it.
Yeah, I should have brought a list of my favorites like you had on your whiteboard the other day.
I've added names.
That's a great list. Everybody, really seriously, this list that Tim has got.
Oh wow, that's grown a lot.
It's impressive.
I'm not showing the names.
And you know, another duo, I think it might be more people, but certainly Night Owl and Opaline in game have been working hard on their build, and you know they were able to implement changes that we recommended on the show really quickly, and really positive stuff.
I because of the Landmark Explorers going around and checking all the claims. They've been going over a lot of the builds that I wasn't able to see because it didn't have the imagery. And the imagery is important to me because that's the first thing the developers are going to look at. And that bug that doesn't give the imagery really hurts a lot of people.
The images? click on them when you see the ones without the image? Because sometimes you can cycle through and see them.
Yeah, and I went through every single one of them like that, and some of them it would have 4 blanks, and you didn't know what it was until you actually had to physically go out there and look. So, but I went through every one that was there and picked out the ones that met what looked to me like the style guide, and that made it to my list. And then as Geo and Pantera has been going over the different builds, I've either removed or I've added to my list. So my list is changing as we go through this. But what I would like to do is have about 30 names in total by the end of going through all the different builds.
Well, we got with you sort it with 150 entries per page. We've got 2 pages of builds to go see. That's a lot.
That's okay. I'm like 20% of the last one. It's all good.
Okay, that's right. You got what, 10 entries, right?
I got 9 entries.
Wow.
12 builds on 9 claims.
Well, you know what? So this was a big draw for me before I knew anybody here to get into Landmark was the opportunity to help build EverQuest Next. So I've done absolutely zero other than to go and promote and show off what people are doing and kind of be a facilitator. But I haven't built anything other than I built nothing for EverQuest Next. But that was the reason I got into Landmark, and I think a lot of people that got in early for the alpha got in for the same reason: the opportunity to see the engine that was going to make EverQuest Next, and for the chance to participate in building EverQuest Next.
I don't know about you guys, but I joined this game. Okay, what I was doing prior to this game. Of course, I was going to college and stuff like that, but prior to me doing a lot of my college stuff, I was doing maps for Call of Duty, and I thoroughly enjoyed loving doing that. And when I found out about this game, I was like, holy crap, I can help make another game. I can help participate in another game. And that's why I jumped in. I jumped in like that. As soon as I was able to, I was in. And you can see the different iterations that has changed in this game since alpha. I popped down some of my alpha builds today and let everybody see what I was building in alpha. It looked like shit. I mean, compared to the stuff that I'm able to do now, I mean, those buildings look like pure butt. But they were high tech at the time. I mean, they were pretty good at the time because they had microvoxeling and this stuff.
But we also only had about 1/10 of the textures we have now.
Yep. Yeah, we did. We only had what 20?
Yeah, it wasn't much.
Like 20 textures. That's what we had in alpha, and now we've got like over right close to 70-ish, if not more. Maybe somebody knows.
I think probably more, but I'm not sure.
Well, they changed their capacity for textures dramatically. They upped it from 250 to 64,000 is the possible. So they've changed their engine on the internally. They've taken the voxel farm engine and they've greatly modified it. So,
well, what I'm wondering about that is if they've upped it that amount. Is that a part of the loading in the game versus how many that we as players can actually have and use?
That's a good question.
It's two different things there. Yes, if I can load that many textures in one, just my character sitting in the world, and it can load that many different textures or that many different combinations of that texture in the world, I can understand that. But that does not mean we can have that many textures to actually work with.
And that's because the textures that we have to work with, to build with, there's also the textures that are on the props. And
on the land.
That's something a lot of people might not understand. And the default land textures,
And there's textures that is in the game that we don't have because the textures that are on the props. I mean, pointed
the
that out.
lamppost, the base of that lamppost.
Yep.
Yeah, like the base of that lamppost, and I want that texture.
You're welcome.
I want that texture. So, but yeah, I mean, you got to take those textures into consideration as well, because I mean, just one prop may have, hell, up to 10 textures on that one prop by itself. So,
are we still getting voxel textures derezzing when you back away a little bit?
Yep.
Oh, that's still happening. All right, that's
sometimes it's when it's right there.
Yeah, right there. So I didn't know if that was still happening. I didn't notice it much today.
Well, Bad at Game, Bad at Life just said, as a programmer, Timma, I can tell you right now that will not impact performance at all. I get that. I really do. It's just that I know how it was in alpha, because we had 20 textures, and at times they wouldn't load up all the textures.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then we got up to 50 textures, and half of them wouldn't load because it wasn't able to actually process that many textures at one given time, on no matter where you were standing at. And sometimes one texture would look like another texture because it couldn't load the other texture, so it replaced it with one that was already existing in the world. Really weird looking stuff. I wish I had pictures still. And of course they got to the point where all of a sudden it blew up. It was like, boom, we're not doing 32-bit anymore because we can't support it. We're all going 64-bit. And when they did that, it upped it to where they could actually support that many, just crazy number of textures. That was one of the big things on that, was the 32-bit was holding us back on textures.
It's been a nice thing about this particular beta test for me, the number of people that have very high technical knowledge about video cards, video drivers, DirectX, DMG's made a comment there about DirectX. Wow, there are so many people involved in this closed beta that have immense knowledge that they don't hesitate to share when people ask. So I'm very appreciative of that. I was a software engineer for 20 years, and I stopped. I stopped 15 years ago. So
it's like a bicycle. If you haven't rode one in a while, you'll fall off.
Well, because of them, I can stay on my rocket, not have to worry about the bicycle. Thank you, really, guys. It helps me get an understanding that I'm able to share with people that watch the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, and but I tell you, like, you know, we keep bouncing from like one thing to another, but hopefully you guys have been able to follow what we've been talking about this whole time. What else was it? Oh yeah, the future of Landmark. What do you see as something else that may be implemented at some point in time that would be almost game changing? Murin.
I'll let Murin. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it for a minute.
All right.
Okay,
Gio. Everyone knows what my obvious answer is, so I'm not going to go there. Box of Fortune. I'm not going to go there. AI, number one, for me. I think they implement our ability to script NPC interaction on our builds. That to me is going to be a game changer, because then you'll be able to run around the game and basically go to someone's claim. I go to your 9-building Kinos thing. You can have that set up in the world somewhere with an actual adventure set up for me to go solve and go enjoy your. Think of it as the ebooks that are coming out for EverQuest Next.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as an interactive ebook by Tinma or whoever on their build. I know, I cannot wait, because I am all about the story. I'm all about the story. I want to know your story. I want to experience the stories that you guys write in the game. So for me, it's the AI.
My story would be about Billy.
Who's Billy?
Billy Goat Gruff.
Oh, of course.
It would be Billy. You would be Billy, and you would have to cross a bridge and get beat up by 3 trolls and all that kind of good stuff. I don't know. I'd come up with some weird crap like that.
See, and I'm that person that would want to go into everyone's quests that they've created and play them through and see if I can break them.
Okay.
Yep.
That sounds good.
me.
What I'd like to see is, I mean, I'm not that much on the AI. I'm a builder. That's what I like doing. So, I want to see, of course, number one, more textures, more variant textures. Let's see, improvements on the building side of things. You know, if I make a circle, I don't want to see artifacts. You know, I don't want to see, deformations. I don't want to see, when I want to make something, I don't want to have to go around my butthole to get to my elbow. You know, that's the kind of thing.
That's a big new player experience.
I'm hoping that's a part of the player experience.
Well, I mean,
but we haven't seen it. We don't know it. We won't know until after the patch.
So, I mean, our message here to Terry and then the team is, new players are if they're seeing dirty circles, that's going to make them think the game's not polished.
That was one of the hardest things about the Kinos build. It was, for me at least, was after I built it and I got it looking the way I wanted it, and then it was like line tool, line tool, line tool, line tool, line tool, cleaning up all the little artifacts.
Dude, your OCD
and then you
just
change
kills
something,
me.
and you have to do it all over again.
My OCD goes nuts when I see that little crap.
I was the show yesterday, and dude, you were just going crazy. You wanted to fix everything you saw.
I did! And that's one thing about me going into somebody else's build. I'm wanting to break out the line tool and be like, dude, give me perms. Give me perms, man, please. You know, I'll sit there, I'll clean it for them. Just so I can get my OCD out of the way and be like, okay, well, this is how you do it. All right? When I come back in an hour, it better be done, you know, and just kind of leave. But, you know, my OCD will go nuts if I go over to a claim. And, I mean, even on some of the high-end builds, you see it. And I wanted to line tool the crap out of it.
He said he'll be right back.
I know. You know, this is normal for Gio, right?
I know.
If you guys watch his show during the day, he's like, I'll be right back. And it's like, you almost want to hear that Jeopardy theme. Do, 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 do. Waiting for him to return. And, but yeah, I go on to other people's claims, and, you know, that's something I like, you know, teaching somebody else on how to do. You know, this is what you do with the line tool. You know, you just run it this way. Run it this way. It'll clean that up real nice. And it's funny because if you teach one person how to do that, and then all of a sudden they start using it to actually, when they do their buildings and they actually go through and they run that line tool across it, it's pretty. And you're like, oh crap. You know? But yeah. We were picking on you the whole time. It's all good. Well, we were playing the Jeopardy theme while you were gone.
I had to go make sure my kids were behaving.
Well, yeah, I wasn't hearing the stomping anymore, so
they're so
they got quiet. But we were just continuing on talking about using the line tool on the claims to clean them up, and it would be great if you got to the point where the funny thing about the artifacting is even if the voxel shape is perfect, it will still artifact. And you still have to use a line tool across it to clean it up. I'd love for it to get to the time where the engine actually reads them correctly, and as long as your shaping is correct, you don't have to worry about that artifacting.
It would be nice to have a circle tool. It's such a common thing.
A circle tool?
Well, yeah. So one of your building tools, instead of a sphere, a circle.
Toggle circle mode.
A quarter circle tool.
That'd be cool.
I would rather see a quarter circle tool, because that means I can get bigger circles. Because normally I don't use a whole circle. Usually I'm using like a part of a small circle.
An arc tool, really. An arc tool.
Yeah, and but a quarter circle tool would be great. And I mean, Fred has made some pretty awesome circles. And I did correct myself because Fred, I thought it was someone else, and come to find out it was Fredulous that made my circle tool, or my circle set.
Wow.
And Fretless has got one of the most awesome circle sets out there, and you can find it over at Lady K's.
Oh, she was on the
You
show.
can find
today.
everything at Lady K's.
Oh my God, it was so awesome. She was homesick from work, so we got her on the show.
But she has moved her circles into another building, which is just south of the hub.
On Lady K Island.
Yeah, Lady K Island. It is her island. And anybody says that that is their island, no, it's not. She needs her own island because of the amount of freaking accounts that woman has. Is just like crap, just ridiculous.
She told us 12.
Yeah, there's also cones over there in the same building. But she has a set of circles that I made in alpha in that building.
Wow.
It is literally a museum.
It is a circle set that I made in alpha. But this was before we had stacks of circles. Okay? There's only 4 circles in the set. Okay? And they're not stacked straight up with each other. It is ridiculous how these things look. And when you look at them now, you're like, man, that is horrid. But that's what we used back then, to make stuff. And it's wow. Let's see. Timma, someone on the forums mentions a basic shapes palette. I thought it was an awesome idea, and a dev posted a cryptically devious grin in response. I'd love to see a palette just full of basic geometric shapes instead of the beginner templates.
I still like to have the beginner templates, but yes, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the beginner templates should be of basic things. Kind of like props-ish. A toilet. A chair. Maybe a window frame. Or something like that. Something that you could use to fill in a house. But then, as for the tool set, I like the way the tool set is. But there is a few basic shapes I'd love to see. But I think if you put in all those basic shapes, you can cause problems. Because then everybody starts using those, even though they don't make the shapes that we should be able to use. Some of them actually look better if they're handmade. So, I don't know. I'd have to see what came out of it before I put my seal on it.
Tool set we have make those things as well as we can make them made by hand.
Yeah. He just posted that link, by the way. I know y'all that are watching the show afterwards. Hopefully you can see that and you can just pause it and type it out by hand.
On my screen it says delete the link.
Well, on my screen it's there, so it's all good.
Okay.
But I'd have to see how they came out. I know like circle sets, being able to put an angle on a circle or something like that. That has always been a pain in the butt. And it'd be kind of cool if we had something that could do that, or just some way of molding one with another. Being able to put some of the windows in that I have on the my build, the library. It took a long time of playing with things to get those windows put into that roof system. And if that could be made a lot easier and a lot cleaner, I'd love to see something like that. Or some ability to do that. Or the delete tool that is not just a 45. Be able to actually change the angle of the delete tool angle piece.
That'd be cool.
That would be awesome, because then you could custom cut. You can custom cut A-frames, to specific angles and stuff. I could see that, and if they could come up with something like that, and if that's a part of the tool set, I'd be all for it.
I think for me, two things that I'd like to see that could be really game changing. One is for textures to be able to toggle whether they're blendable or not. Because cobblestone's a good example. In some cases, it makes sense to not have it blendable. You might not want it to blend with other stone, but if you're putting leaves down on your cobblestone, you definitely want that to blend. So that would be a good one.
Hold on. I got to draw this out because this is something that I went over on my stream today that I thought was pretty awesome, and I'd love to see it actually be in the game.
It's our hope for our show here, the Let's Talk Landmark series, to be really helpful to the dev team. Feedback.
You just lost your entire list.
A what?
You lost your entire list.
No, don't.
Oh, that's the other whiteboard.
I got two.
The man's got two whiteboards. Oh my god.
I would go nuts without my board. So, okay, this is something that I kind of went over on my show today that I thought was pretty cool. Okay, say you got 50 plus textures. Okay, and each one of those 50 textures have a different property. Okay.
Back in 1990.
Yes. Something like that. I feel like I'm back in school. So, but 50 textures, and every one of these textures, say 20 of these textures have the ability to blend. We got another 20 that are non-blending, right? Eliminate this. Eliminate the blending and non-blending. They're all textures. They all have the same property, and you have one blend that is universal. If I take one texture and I take another texture, if I use blend on the voxel that is in between the two, it blends across them. It eliminates having to have the property on the texture itself and is actually used in a single paint. It's like an invisible paint. Think of it like that. It is the blending property to everything else. Does that make sense, Gio?
Yeah.
It does.
This
I
way...
was thinking you could even have it be another property that you would paint over the top of it. So your voxel on the left, you could paint another thing on top of it and toggle something to show you what's blendable and what's not. So I have another view mode for red is is not blendable, green is blendable, so that you can see which things you flagged to blend.
Well, this is a great thing to do as a highlight to pose to Steve Klug.
But the cool thing is, I can change this to 700. They all have the same property that can be blended with this one tool. And it's just a paint tool. That's all it is. It's just a texture you would select that is like a clear texture. And it would blend between two without having the paint property of the center. It's like a clear version. It's like kind of like glass in a way.
They have to rewrite the way that the worlds are created, that the procedurally written landscape is done. It'd be a completely different algorithm.
But it would work though. It would be great for the building aspect of it because I don't have to custom make a texture to make it work right. You know, and if you notice, you got some textures that bleed and some don't. Well, in this case, if you put them just down, they don't bleed. But as soon as you put the blender in between the two, they bleed.
I know some of you programmers out there are already
want.
thinking about how you could do that. how you could make his blending system work in the game. But I like it. It's great. Great question to pose to Steve Klug. I'd love to hear what he has to say about that.
There it is. Cataberry said, call it the blur tool, as it would work similar to the blur in Photoshop. Exactamundo. The cool thing about this is, as you know right now, certain textures blend with other textures. Why? And if I use that same texture against something else, it doesn't work. I have to find another blender between the two textures. It eliminates that.
It would sure make building, so much
exactly.
easier.
So there's my input for this week.
That's it.
Devs, hopefully you can make it work. Let's see, where are we at? How many? We're about on time.
8:45. I'm at my hard stop.
Okay, we're at the hard stop. We're at the end of the show. Hopefully, this show has been entertaining for you guys. Hopefully, next week we will have even more just weird ideas or something. I don't know.
People are building
We'll come up with
crazy
something.
stuff now that the competition's over. That we got in the voting mode.
Mhm.
They're crazy stuff's being built. I can't wait till we wrap the voting.
Okay, and definitely, Mirren, type your link here in channel, and also George, pop your thing in there too.
Deleted link.
That's awesome.
Give me a second. I'm working on it. I'll get you set.
And just click on my name there if you want to follow.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Did that work? That didn't
Yeah.
work at all, did it? Nope, that didn't work. It just says Twitch TV. Hold on. Let me try that again.
You just gotta make us mods on the channel, dude. Didn't work.
Why? Oh, it's backwards. That's why. Hold on.
Did I get the wrong slash?
Yes, you put the wrong slash in it.
No way.
You did. It's your fault.
I did. Oh man.
Look at that.
Terrible.
Got you working. So, definitely. Did you put yours in there?
No, just click on my name.
Yep. Click on their names in
Click on my
chat.
name, you hit follow. You find my channel.
Yep. If you see the little video or power emblem thingy there, just click on it or click their names. Definitely check out their channels. Tomorrow morning, Landmark Explorer will be going into day 4.
Day 4. Now tomorrow's gonna be a two-hour show because I've got a hard stop at noon. I've got a meeting with our writer.
So, but they're going to be going over some more Keynote builds.
Yeah.
And
however, there's an opportunity, Timma, if should you want to pick up the show and drive it further.
I'd have to get a key from you. If I
Yeah,
was to
I
do it,
should
it would be through your stream, just to keep it rolling on your stream, because that way it's a one-stop shop.
Well, if you use the same key that I use, then there's no pause between streamers. If you use a different key, there's a 15-minute pause required. But
It depends on if I get up in time. We'll see. Mirren,
Right.
when are you streaming next?
Probably next Monday.
Next
but
Monday.
I'm not sure yet.
Y'all heard
Yeah,
it.
I get back home midnight tomorrow night. I have plans all weekend, so probably Monday before I stream again.
Okay. All right. So there you go, guys. Definitely follow those 2 channels. Definitely click the follow link here. You never know what I'm going to do. I'm just that way. But
Brace yourself.
yeah, exactly. So with that, we're going to end the show for today. Thank you very much for coming and being a part of it, and coming in and giving us your feedback. I mean, when you say something in the stream, it comes up in the chat. It's in the video, and the devs can see exactly what it is that is on your mind, which is great. This is one of the cool things about this channel, and yeah, just get out there and build. Definitely, Katina just reminded me, this Saturday we are doing a community build on Saturday. It'll start around 3 to 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And,
Sweet.
we don't know what we're going to build. You guys are going to decide what it is we're going to build. And we're going to go back old school. This will be like community build like 18 or something. It's just a ridiculous number. And this show is Let's Talk Landmark 14?
14.
This is 14.
14.
Awesome.
Episode 14 already. Gio will be our 15th on Monday. So with that,
Awesome.
and we're out, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.